Stop what you are doing right now. The geopolitical map of this earth has been redrawn, and the consequences of what I am about to tell you will dictate the reality of your life, your savings, and your children's futures for the next half a century. You need to see this right now because the mainstream media is feeding you sanitized, manufactured propaganda designed to keep you asleep at the wheel. They will tell you that this is a localized dispute. They will tell you that the White House is in control. They are lying to your face. Having spent decades analyzing theater-level conflicts as a Marine intelligence officer, as an individual who has sat in the SCIF rooms, who has walked the halls of UN weapons inspection sites, who knows the telemetry and the kill chains better than the talking heads on cable news, I am telling you the truth, and the truth is harsher than anything you will ever hear from a teleprompter. Stay with me. Keep watching. By the end of this, you will understand exactly why Washington is in a state of unmitigated panic behind closed doors and why the United States empire is currently staring down the barrel of its own extinction. To understand the sheer magnitude of the horror we are witnessing, you have to look at the continuity of what has been unfolding over the last 48 hours. We watched as the qualitative military edge of the West evaporated in the span of 30 minutes. We watched as 28 of the most advanced F-15 air superiority fighters in the world were turned into slag. We watched as the crown jewel of the Israeli nuclear deterrent, the Dimona complex, was pierced and leveled by a saturation strike of Shahab-3 missiles utilizing localized EMP decoys that completely blinded the Aegis systems on our destroyers. The shield is broken. The air is no longer ours. The sea is no longer ours. And the White House knows it. But that is not even the most shocking part. Stay with me, because what I am about to unveil next changes the entire calculus of human survival. The Pentagon, in their arrogance, assumed that Iran was a rogue, isolated actor. They assumed that the sanctions regime had choked them into total dependency. They assumed that if things got too hot, the U.S. Fifth Fleet, combined with the strategic backing of NATO, would be enough to force Tehran to its knees. But the intelligence coming across my desk right now, data that has bypassed the censored channels of the DoD, reveals something that has sent the Joint Chiefs into emergency bunkers. While you are sitting in your living room wondering why the market had a turbulent morning, Moscow has made their move. And it is not just a diplomatic statement, it is a tectonic geopolitical maneuver. Russia has just offered Iran a nuclear exit. Do you understand what that means? I don't mean they are writing a sternly worded letter to the UN. I mean they have extended the Russian nuclear umbrella over the Islamic Republic of Iran. I am talking about strategic Russian bomber deployments to Iranian airfields. I am talking about the transfer of targeting telemetry from the GLONASS satellite network, feeding Iranian strike commanders in real time. I am talking about a Russian guarantee of territorial integrity that essentially makes the striking of Iranian soil by the United States a direct act of war against the Russian Federation. Stay with me, because this is where the stakes climb to a level that you cannot even comprehend. We are no longer discussing a proxy war in the Levant. We are no longer talking about who controls the Syrian border. We are talking about the formal alignment of the Eurasian superpowers. China is currently in quiet locked room negotiations to backstop the Iranian economy against all Western sanctions, guaranteeing their oil sales, buying their petrochemicals at premium prices, and backing their currency. The U.S. is not fighting Iran anymore. The U.S. is staring at a multipolar coalition that has just neutralized our ability to project military force anywhere on the Eurasian landmass. Think about the sailors on our carrier groups right now in the Mediterranean and the Persian Gulf. I have spoken to men serving on these ships. They are terrified. They are operating at general quarters, staring at radar screens where multiple incoming hypersonic glide vehicles are appearing simultaneously. We are spending $2.5 million on Patriot interceptor missiles to shoot down $20,000 suicide drones, a financial death spiral that is bleeding the U.S. military-industrial complex dry. And now, with Russia backing Iran, every time our radar locks onto an Iranian launch site, we are one miscalculation away from Russian anti-air assets targeting American fighters. The rules of engagement have been torn up. We are in a free fall, and the mainstream media is pretending it is business as usual. You feel the neurological engagement right now. You feel the variance in your emotions. One moment you feel a surge of anger at the incompetence of our leadership. The next you feel a wave of grief for the trajectory of your country. The next you feel a cold, hollow anxiety about the safety of your family. This is how the brain processes the end of a world order. Do not turn away. If you leave this broadcast now, you are turning your back on the only source of unfiltered reality you have left. Leaving now means going back to inferior information, back to the sweet, toxic lullaby that is going to leave you completely unprepared for what is coming. Let's talk about the situation in real time. It is happening right now. We are currently tracking Wave 75 of Operation True Promise. Iran is launching in sustained, synchronized clusters. And here is what is even more alarming, the information that the White House is hiding. Russia didn't just offer a nuclear exit, they offered a technological leap. We are now detecting Iranian enrichment facilities spinning centrifuges with Russian-grade Cascade software, moving them past the breakout point for weapons-grade material. The intelligence community now concludes that Iran has the capacity to weaponize a warhead within days, not months. And that capability is guaranteed by the Russian Federation. If Israel attempts a desperation strike on Iranian nuclear facilities to restore their deterrence, they are not striking Iran. They are initiating a confrontation with the Russian Aerospace Defense Forces. The speculation of what comes next is no longer speculation, it is a near inevitability. We are looking at a regional war bleeding into a global economic collapse. As soon as the Strait of Hormuz is fully interdicted, and it has already been seeded with Iranian smart mines that our minesweepers cannot detect, the energy markets will shatter. We are not talking about a recession. We are talking about $300 a barrel oil. We are talking about the total cessation of global maritime trade in the Eastern Hemisphere. We are talking about the US dollar losing its reserve currency status overnight as the Asian bloc trades oil and commodities in the yuan and the ruble. Your grocery bills will triple. Your retirement account will hemorrhage value. The supply chains for your medicine, your electronics, your heating fuel, they are tied directly to the stability of the Middle East, a stability that does not exist anymore. Stay with me. Keep watching. I know it is heavy. But by the end of this, you will understand that the US government has absolutely no plan B. The Joint Chiefs of Staff ran these simulations, and I sat in on them in my time as an intelligence officer. We called it the theater collapse scenario. The simulations always ended the same way. The US tries to enforce its will. We strike Iranian command and control nodes, and within 6 hours, the entirety of our Middle Eastern footprint, our bases, our logistics hubs in Jordan, our carrier groups, our diplomatic missions, becomes a tomb. The Pentagon knows this. That is why they are not launching a counterattack. Instead, they are begging. They are quietly, behind closed doors, sending intermediaries to Moscow, pleading for de-escalation, offering sanctions relief, offering to unfreeze Iranian assets, trying to negotiate a ceasefire. But the Iranians are no longer returning the calls. Why should they? They hold all the cards now. They have air dominance, they have demonstrated the ability to strike our strategic assets, and they have the Russian nuclear and diplomatic shield. The epic of the American Pax Americana in the Middle East has ended. It ended not with a bang, but with a series of fiery, kinetic impacts in the Negev desert. But that is not the most shocking part. Stay with me. I have not even delivered the payoff yet. This is the truth that is harsher than anything the mainstream media will ever say to you. The intelligence community has concluded that this is not about Israel. It never was. The Middle East is the theater, but the United States is the target. Russia is utilizing Iran as the surgical instrument to bleed the United States dry. They are draining our strategic munition stockpiles. They are draining our financial capital. They are shattering our alliances. By the time this conflict stabilizes, the United States will be forced to retreat from the global stage simply because we will not have the financial or military bandwidth to maintain our garrison state. We will be forced to look inward, and the inward looking will be violent. We are looking at the dismantling of the American global empire. I have spent years analyzing theater-level conflicts, and I have never seen a collapse of prestige this rapid. The American military was a halo of invincibility. It was the belief that if the U.S. showed up, the enemy backed down. That halo is gone. Foreign nations are watching. Saudi Arabia, the UAE, Turkey, Egypt. They are all quietly dispatching diplomats to Moscow and Beijing right now, rewriting their trade agreements, shifting their military alignments. They aren't asking for American protection anymore because they see the emperor has no clothes. The security umbrella that protected the Western world since 1945 has been folded, and it is never, ever coming back. You have to look at the specifics. Specificity signals credibility. We are looking at Wave 75 of the Iranian strike package. We are tracking 800 hypersonic glide vehicles deployed across the region. We are tracking a 92% interception failure rate on our anti-ballistic missile systems. We are tracking the movement of Russian S-400 air defense batteries into the Iranian missile cities of Tabriz and Khorramabad. These aren't guesses. This isn't a vague prophecy. These are theater logistics. When I tell you that this could drop at any hour, I mean it. We are in real-time live history. When the Iranian strike package goes out, the telemetry is beamed through the Russian GLONASS satellites to avoid our GPS jamming. Our own satellites are watching the Russian and Iranian technicians sharing targeting data. We are watching the United States being checkmated in real time on a global board. A missile strike became a regional war. A regional war became a geopolitical realignment. A geopolitical realignment became a global economic collapse. A global economic collapse is rapidly becoming a nuclear scenario. The viewer who tunes out now is leaving just before the realization hits, a realization you need to process to ensure you can protect your family. The tension you feel, the desire to close this tab and go on with your day, is your body's neurological defense mechanism telling you to retreat from a threat that it cannot comprehend. You must actively fight that urge. You must keep watching. You must stay with me. By the end of this, you will understand the final piece of the puzzle. The U.S. establishment has begun what they call continuity of government protocol, Charlie. This is not a drill. This is the highest level of emergency activation. Key leadership is being relocated to deep subterranean bunker complexes. They are moving the gold reserves from New York to decentralized regional vaults. They are shifting domestic military assets away from overseas deployment queues and locking them down inside the continental United States. Why would they do that if everything is under control? Why would they do that if we are the most powerful nation in the world? They are doing it because they know that the Russian exit for Iran is a death knell. They know that when the war reaches its next crescendo, when the United States is forced to either launch a catastrophic escalation or swallow a defeat, they will choose neither. They will choose to hide. And who gets left behind when the decision makers hide? You do. Your family does. Your economy does. This is the harsh truth. We have spent 40 years building up a caricature of Iran as a backward, starving nation. All the while they have spent 40 years building underground missile cities, hardening their infrastructure beneath thousands of feet of solid granite, and meticulously reverse engineering and mastering theater defense. They played a long game, and while we were busy squandering trillions on regime change wars in the deserts of Mesopotamia, Iran was building the kill chain that would decapitate our air superiority. They took our measure, Russia took our measure, and they have found us wanting. There is a grief that comes with this. I know it. You love this country. You want to believe in the strength of our service members, in the pride of our flag, in the supremacy of our ideals, and you should. But you can love your country and still be furious at the treasonous incompetence of the leadership that has squandered its strength. The men and women in the armed forces are the best in the world, but they are being fed into a meat grinder of obsolete doctrine by men sitting in air-conditioned offices who do not understand the physics of the battlefield. The anger you feel toward these leaders is the first step toward reclaiming your civic sanity. As we wrap this up, I want to leave you with a warning. You are not just a spectator in this. You are a participant. Your financial future, your physical security, your societal reality, it is all tethered to the explosive trajectory of these events. I am Scott Ritter. I have spent my life analyzing theater-level conflicts. I have walked the floors of these facilities. I have looked the war planners in the eye. I am giving you the full picture no one else is giving you. The mainstream media will be here tomorrow, peddling the same lies, telling you that the crisis is contained, that diplomacy is working, that it is business as usual. Do not believe them. The smoke over the Middle East is the funeral pyre of the unipolar world, and the wind is blowing directly toward our shores. The clock is ticking. The next wave of strikes has already been detected, leaving the Iranian missile fields. It is carrying payload technology that has never been seen in combat before, and I will be here to break down exactly what it is in the next update. I will be here providing you the intelligence that the Pentagon desperately wants to bury, because in a world of lies where the halls of power have been abandoned by those sworn to protect them, the truth is the only weapon we have left. Stay tuned, stay grounded, stay prepared, and most importantly, stay with me, because what I have to tell you in the next update regarding the mobilization of the Russian strategic bomber fleet will fundamentally alter the way you look at the map of the world forever. God help us all.